So this is Baruch Fleischman at my home here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, coming over to invite you to learn along with me. Now, a lot of the material that I look at over here is material that I haven't seen, period, or material that I might have seen, but, you know, there's so much, and it has to be seen again and again in order to really get into the flow, the river of this sweet, beautiful river of soul that we're learning. So I got us over here on page Kuf Dalin. This is the Shar Kavanos. They're using the Tiva Kavanos. So what we do is we read these are the words in the big print of the Rabbi Yitzchak Luria Ashkenazi, also known as the Ria Kodesh. It goes through the Inyanim in different perspectives. The river flows this way and that way. And let's dive in and let's see what he says. He said, so this reason, apparently what we're talking about, we'll pick it up. He said, in the morning time is a time of complete chesed. So therefore the mochim that happen then, they are the most sweet, the most precious mochim. He said mu'ulim, they're at a very high level. So also the yichud that takes place at that time is tremendously large. Now what we do, we come down and relieve the tiva kavanos here, which is the pirish, and it says the reason is because in the mornings their anpin is full of all of the mochin. He's called a mochin. And the mochin that come to him, they are extremely precious. Shehem Amikitsonius Atik, because they come to this place called the Kitsonius of Atik, which is really Benimi, really a source of the ultimate energy that we can understand or have some presence of position of the Eitz of Baruch Hu. So he said, Shehem Amikitsonius Atik. So therefore the yichud that takes place at that time as a result of the Shef is going to be a very high level of yichud. And that yichud is called by the name of the yichud of Yaakov and Rachel. Because in the morning this is the real time of chesed. But then when you come to mincha time, then things are getting darker. There's a little bit of the rimming have gotten stronger. So therefore their anpin doesn't have all the mochin. The only thing that comes into him at this point is going to be the 6 kitzvos of the godless of Ima. I'm going to say it again. I said it wrong, I think. He said Rak Haniknasi Bazoshisha Kitzvos the Ima Levad. That he means, I think, he's talking about mochin the Katnos. So that's all that starts out, because whatever is in the pump has to be primed with the greatest amount of Katnos in order to bring about the greatest amount of godless. That's just an equation that works every time. So the L'chem HaZivug shall zer anpin v'nuk b'mincha hu zivug yoser cholish. So therefore this is something that is weaker. Whose zivug Yisrael in Leah is going to be a different kind of yichud. It's going to be Yisrael and Leah, and I've seen in V'Avor where the Torah talks about Yisrael and Leah being both of them above the chaz of Zer Anpin. So now let's go over here and let's see the next one. Okay. So we're on number Yud Gimel here. So number Yud Gimel says. But the Vedas Arvis, now then you have really strong din because it's dark. So then the mochim are going to be much more minimalized. Now when he says minimalized, I think that the translation for me at this time is that the levush of the mochim is coming from a more thick place. So that means the mochim, which are already always pure, which are coming from the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, is wrapped in something more dense. I said this yesterday, and I think it's working for me. That's why I'm trying this idea. So as hamochim yosem mismatim, the lights become more limited because the garment in which the lights are found are thicker. Vein lezecha b'shum mochin the godless, and Zad doesn't have any mochins of godless at all, like he had at Mincha, where they were left over from the morning. So therefore, in order to get the ball rolling, you got to say Kriya Shema again. So therefore, that yichud is going to be weaker. And it's a yichud that takes place between Yaakov and Leah, Lamalam and Achazit. So here's another yichud, Yaakov and Leah, not Yisrael and Leah, but Yaakov and Leah, Lamalam and Achazit. Now, all of these names, all of these places, I really would like to have definitions of how they work. How does Yaakov get above the chaza? How does Leah get below the chaza? Exactly what are we talking about? Now he said, but Kriya Shema Shalamita, when the Kriya Shema at going to bed, before going to bed, Shahazkul Laila Gamor. So let's not kid around. He says now a little bit of light still in the west. It's dark. Now this is a time when the denim gets a lot stronger. So therefore you have to come over and say Kriya Shema again. And the yichud that takes place at this time, who Yosef Cholish is going to be a weaker yichud, for who Zivug Yaakov in Leah Lamatim in the chaza, below the chaza. Okay, all of these words have to do with some relationship, male and female, in different places, and the female changes because there's two females. But then the name of the male also changes from Yaakov to Yisrael, goes back and forth. I don't have a handle on it. I'm just looking at it. So he says, going back, let's go on to the next part. Did we get the number test above? Yes. So he said, so now these differences that we talked about, we said it several times, quite a few times. It's only referring to the Zavugim themselves. But when you come to the Kriya Shema, and actually the action of the Kriya Shema, they're all the same. Because all of them enter into Zah. The Moshisha Kitzvos the Gadlos Gam came Benimi Mitzad Ima. Now Mina Benimi Mitzad Ima. So this is very interesting what he said. And all of them Niknasim Bezat, all of them go into Zeranpin. And what does all of them mean? All of them mean? The Mochin the Shisha Kitzvos the Gadlos. So the Shisha Kitzvos the Gadlos, and he says Gam Kain HaPenimi Mitzad Ima, and also the Penimi that have to do with Ima. Now that particular last part doesn't jive with me in any way. I don't really know what he means. So let's come over here and look at this. And this Tiv Kavanis doesn't answer every single one of my questions, but he sure does help. He says, Hashanuyim Shabira Rav. So the difference that we talk, the changes we talk, the Rav is explaining. Who rock the Gabech Zavugin Zer Anpin Vanuka Naasim Acharkach. So all these changes really depend on what kind of yichud is going to take place between Zachar and Nuk. We said there's the highest one is Yaakov and Rachel. Then there's also Yisrael and Leah, and then the Yaakov and Leah above the Chazah, Leah below the Chazah. I don't know what they mean, but they're different levels at any rate, whatever their names are. How they operate, I don't understand, but what their names are. There are 4 different names for these 4 different levels. Behind the Shemekoich Kriya Shema the Shachar is that one. Nahasach Zivug Yaakov Arachav B'Tefillah Shachar. It makes that yichud. V'gam Zivug Yisrael Leah B'Tefillah Mincha. Then you have this other one called the Yisrael and Leah at the Mincha time. Because Kriya Shema the Arvis. Now you come to the Kriya Shema, you say the Arvis. Nahasach Zivug Yaakov Leah Lamala Min Achazah above the Chazah above Kriya Shema Shalamita. Then they have to go all the way down. Na'asa Zivug Yaakov Leah Lamata Min Achazah. So Lamala Min Achazah, Lamata Min Achazah. I can picture it, understand what he said, but I'm not really sure that I picture exactly how this movement takes place and how the yichud takes place. V'lagabe Kriya Shema levav. Let's just look at the Kriya Shema itself, by itself. He says, Ein shum shinui, there is no difference. Because in all the different kinds of Kriya Shema, the Katnos come into their Anpin, all of the Mochin the Katnos. That's what happens. what I said, and I think the principle we have to remember is that whatever is in Zer Anpin in terms of Katnos as he begins, that is, if we begin to say the Shema, according to the different place we're going to say it. So the darkest possible places that you would have mochin would be either before Karbanos or say like at the time of Kriya Shema Lamita. There's very little inside of Zer Anpin, virtually nothing. So what's happening is that you're just yes to the bare minimum. So what you're doing right there, you're going to have a lesser yichud at this time. And if Zer Anpin has the more mochin of Katnos Zer Anpin has, that was a rule that we're going over, then the more powerful the yichud that will take place in all of Atzilus and bring the Shefa down. Now what was that? Ein shum shinui kevin shebakola arba mini kriya shema. Neknasim bezah kol mochin the Katnos, all the mochin the Katnos. He said down the Tzelem Shalom, that means the makifim, that's the lama and the mem, the two makifim, and the tzadi is the benimi. Shalom, they all come in. All of these come into the hein the abba, hein the ima. All of them come into Zer Anpin when he says the word Yisrael. The question is not the word Yisrael. The question is what does I have when it started to say Shema, then the next word was Yisrael. So then also the vok of ima enters in. Only that enters in. Now that's really a review of a lot of things that we saw before in little different kinds of places. And let's come over here and let's see the words of the holy ARI. He says number Tas Zion. He says Amar Hachiluk Ashlishi. Now, the third differentiation is sheyesh ba'arba mini kriya shema that you have in these four different kinds of kriya shema. Atzman, who's that? It's this. Hine afal pi sha'anu oimni, that even though we're saying shebe'es kriya shema neknasim kala madregos ad shisha kitzvos the betad ima the gadlos the benimim. Now, let me just translate that again. Everybody agrees this. At the time, anytime you say Kriya Shema, Shebe'esa Kriya Shema, anytime you say Kriya Shema, Niknazim Kala Madregos, all of the Madregos come in, including the Vok, or what he calls it, I used to call it the Zat, but whatever it is, I guess it is the Vok, the lower six kitzvos of Ima, of Godless, come into Zer Anpin. Every single time that you say Kriya Shema, whenever you say Kriya Shema, this happens. Shisha kitzvos the mitzad ima the godless of benimim. So even though that is the tzad itself comes in, all of that is coming in. Im kol zeh elo hamadrego shebein time yesh benehem hefresh. So what he says is that with all of this, the fact is that what you're accomplishing is the same exact thing, but even so, there's a difference between all four of them. Yesh pam shenek nasim kulam yacha, because sometimes they're all coming together. And it's a new idea. Yesh pam shenek nasim mefuzarim mefuradim, and sometimes they come in scattered, spread out. Now this idea, I have no idea what that's about. So let's go to Tez Zayin. I really wish it was easy and we could just say it. So I have to learn it. So Le'el Bir Lan Rav Shnei Mini Shinuyim Sheyesh Ba'arba Mini Kriya Shema. Up above, he talked about these two differences. The Hainu Chiluk Echad Be'idin Hamshachas Tipa. So one that has to do with the Tipa itself, that is the kernel of the Ein Sof Baruch Hu, or that's the wrong word, kernel, I don't know. But he says it is the Tipa, so it's a drop. So one is the location of where it's coming from. And I said that has to do with the levush of the tipa. And then there's going to be a yichud as a result of that. Now let me see if I get this up here. Because every one of the kriya shema is going to produce a different yichud. So now here's a third differentiation. Sheyesh ba'arba mini kriya shema that you have in the four different kinds of kriya shema. And what is that? It really depends on the entrance of the mochim of Katnos into Zer Anpin. That even though, listen, we understand, and every time you say kriya shema, the four different times, all of the mochim the Katnos come into Zer Anpin. The Abba, the Ima, the Gamri, so you have all of the Mocha, the Katnos of Abba, and all the Mocha, the Katnos, the Ima. The Gama Shisha Kitzvah, the godless, the Ima, and also the Vok of the godless of Ima. There's we have godless here also. But even so, there's differences in these four different types of Kriya Shema. What particular kind of stage do these, I'm not sure what he means by this, the matzah, the position of these mochin, if the mochin come in together, or lo, or not. And this is where we're going to be as we go through this. And this is going to be a lima that I'm going to try to learn this whole book with you, if you have the patience to go along with me and to see all the ideas in this Kriya Shema. What's the point? The point is to pray and bring in the Mochim the godless. We're going to learn how to do that. So along with this one here, where we're dealing with Shema, we're going to also have to get started in the Amida, and particularly the first four brachos, the Birchei Avos. That's what they call it. There's a lot of things there, many fundamental ideas that we need to know as we approach prayer, because all those who learn Kabbalah are of the opinion that your prayers can be powerful. Some people could get really good at praying. I'm not particularly good at it, trust me. I've got all these ideas and I'm trying them and I'm trying to put it in, but concentration is difficult, and we live in a difficult world, and this is for our help to try to bring out, that's Hashem. We'll have a Mashiach, we'll have, the world will rise up to the level that the Malchus will go to Bina, just like they wrote in the book. And all that is going to happen, and we can help it come along by bringing the light of Hashem through these patterns and into our prayers. This is Baruch Fleischman.